When in April the sweet showers fall and pierce the drought of March to the root, and all the veins are bathed in liquor of such power as brings about the engendering of the flower, when also Zephyrus with his sweet breath exhales an air in every grove and heath upon tender shoots, and the young sun his half-course in the sign of the ram has run, and the small fowl are making melody that sleep away the night with open eye, so nature pricks them and their heart engages. Then people long to go on pilgrimages, and palmers long to seek the stranger strands of far-off saints hallowed in sundry lands. And, specially, from every shire's end in England, down to Canterbury they wend, to seek the holy, blissful martyr, quick to give his help to them when they were sick. It happened in that season that one day in Southwark at the Tabard, as I lay ready to go on pilgrimage and start for Canterbury, most devout at heart, at night there came into that hostelry some 29 in a company of sundry folk happening then to fall in fellowship, and they were pilgrims all that towards Canterbury meant to ride. The rooms and stables of the inn were wide. They made us easy, all was of the best. And shortly, when the sun had gone to rest, by speaking to them all upon the trip I soon was one of them in fellowship, and promised to rise early and take the way to Canterbury, as you heard me say. But nonetheless, while I have time and space, before my story takes a further pace, it seems a reasonable thing to say. What their condition was, the full array of each of them, as it appeared to me according to profession and degree, and what apparel they were riding in. And at a night I therefore will begin. There was a knight, a most distinguished man, who from the day on which he first began to ride abroad had followed chivalry, truth, honour, generousness and courtesy. He had done nobly in his sovereign's war, and ridden into battle no man more, as well in Christian as heathen places, and ever honoured for his noble graces. When we took Alexandria, he was there. He often sat at table in the chair of honour, above all nations, when in Prussia. In Lithuania he had ridden, and Russia, no Christian man so often of his rank. When in Granada, Algeciras sank under assault, he had been there, and in North Africa raiding Benamarin. In Anatolia he had been as well, and fought when Aias and Italia fell. For all along the Mediterranean coast he had embarked with many a noble host. In 15 mortal battles he had been, and jousted for our faith at Tramacene, thrice in the lists, and always killed his man. This same distinguished knight had led the van once with the Bay of Balat, doing work for him against another heathen Turk. He was of sovereign value in all eyes. And though so much distinguished, he was wise, and in his bearing modest as a maid. He never yet a boorish thing had said in all his life to any, come what might. He was a perfect gentle knight. Speaking of his equipment, he possessed fine horses, but he was not gaily dressed. He wore a fustian tunic stained and dark with smudges where his armour had left mark. Just home from service, he had joined our ranks to do his pilgrimage and render thanks. He had his son with him, a fine young squire, a lover and cadet, a lad of fire with locks as curly as if they had been pressed. He was some 20 years of age, I guessed. In stature he was of a moderate length, with wonderful agility and strength. He'd seen some service with the cavalry in Flanders and Artois and Picardy, and had done valiantly in little space of time, in hope to win his lady's grace. He was embroidered like a meadow bright and full of freshest flowers, red and white, singing he was, or fluting all the day. He was as fresh as is the month of May. Short was his gown, the sleeves were long and wide. He knew the way to sit a horse and ride. He could make songs and poems and recite, knew how to joust and dance, to draw and write. He loved so hotly that till dawn grew pale, he slept as little as a nightingale. Courteous he was, lowly and serviceable, and carved to serve his father at the table.